The order. First thing is the review September 19th, 2023 minutes.
You gotta look at it all.
Yep, I move that we accept it as written.
All in favor? And next thing, review and approve October 3rd, 2023 warrants.
I move that we accept it as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Put out the date this time? Was that sticky on it?
So, need signature, location for me. Central Wind Power Company. Brown, John Duchesne. On a pole, new stub pole, needed to hold pole, customer installing private pole.
That came to me and I asked that Deb forward it to you because I thought that was beyond something I should approve. I thought I could approve it, but there's room for like 5 signatures.
Yeah.
And I think you folks need to sign it as well.
Okay.
It's on Brown Road.
Right. I know as far as connecting a service, I have to sign off that the permits have been done
Right.
without violation.
Yeah.
That's that one. This went beyond that enough, so I didn't feel I wanted
Yeah,
to.
it's a deal.
I'm not opposed to signing it, I just thought you folks should have some say.
So 1,650 feet up the intersection of Brown Road and Two Point Trail. New. Buildings consist of wooden poles and
I didn't think that was my turf. You might tell me you did, but as far as I know, it's
well,
not.
the only thing I can think that they would be concerned about is putting poles in the, side of the road, but.
And if it's the same side,
I don't recall doing it.
they just do it anyway.
Well, eventually gets done, that's right.
I know if it's across someone else's land, they have to have the landowner signature and you do it, yeah.
Exactly.
I guess this is for John Duchesne, Duchesne, or whatever it is.
Well, some of it where it's on town roads, perhaps, things like that. I think the selectmen have to agree
Oh, yeah, yeah.
to that kind of thing.
Right.
The landowner does too.
I believe that's actually the.
Yeah.
Road is on their right of way.
Yeah.
Right. I just thought that.
It says municipal officer, so.
That's all.
Is signed place for municipal officers to sign.
For this work. I'm not saying you shouldn't sign it, don't misunderstand that. Didn't feel it was.
People need electricity.
Public care for general assistance.
So, we should open a public hearing.
Open a public hearing for general.
Okay. I don't have any handouts, but I will speak to the new general assistance, charts, or schedules. So every year, we try to adopt the, MMA's developed general assistance ordinance, which tells us how you go about determining if somebody's eligible and what they're eligible for. And then they have some schedules that tell you how much they're eligible for. And, in some years, we get the manual updated, and some years, we just get the schedules updated, which is the how much. And this year, it's just the how much. So, looking at the overall maximums, I'm looking at the overall maximums as a chart that they have, what you can get, and it goes by the number of people in the household, and, for this area, which is Cumberland County, outside of the metropolitan area. The maximums went up between, it varies, 6% for one person. The highest increase was 15% for a household of 3 people. But everything went up. There's a schedule for the amount of money people are eligible for housing, whether you get heated housing or whether you're unheated housing if you're renting. And there's, they went up from, again, the biggest was a family of, or the number of bedrooms was 2, it went up 17%. The lowest increase was 9% over last year. Heated, unheated, this percentage was the same. I guess the important thing is that things have gone up considerably for housing. Food maximums, depending on the number of people in the family, all went up by 4%. Personal care, no change. Electricity, no change. Heating fuel, no change. And that's pretty much it. Mileage, rates, funeral maximum is the same. That's what has changed. Normally we have the option of adopting the state or the MMA's numbers, or we can develop our own. We don't have the capability here to do an analysis of those type of things, so we adopt MMA's. Anybody have comments, questions? How the process works?
Just a thought, just because it struck me. I pay the electric bill for Mount Etna Grange, and it's gone up by almost $15 a month in the last year. And we don't use electricity. You know, we're not in there. One day a month.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that have changed with CMP, and one is the meter charge went from 13 something to 22.
This went up like, you know, $3 this month, $5 that month. It went up. It didn't go up like in a block. It went up just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I don't know.
I have no point to make.
I know the meter charge has gone up. Of course, the price of electricity is that changed from last year, or how they came up with their analysis of this year versus last year, so anyway. Oh, any other questions? I guess we're done the public hearing portion of it.
Alright. Next thing, vote on any road closures. Public hearing, not really any concerns about it.
So I move that we sign the memo for record. There should be a memo for record here that records that we had a public hearing. These are all the roads that we talked about. And, then we have orders for each one of the, with the road closing order for each one of the roads. So I move that we sign these documents, putting into effect our, winter road closures. Really, there's only really one little change, and that's the, Carl Manel Road. No, I take that back, there's, Marston's Road as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Alright, wait a second.
A second.
All in favor?
Which fans?
Yeah. Kinda like the way. Yeah.
I think the last time we did this was probably 2015. These are 10-year, orders, so they're good for 10 years unless we decide to change.
Okay.
We'll also change the wordings on the orders a little bit to be a little more scientific. We use node points from the state road map or house numbers instead of person's name.
Oh, yeah.
Spur Road is official now.
It's officially named 911.
Yes.
Next is the Cumberland County Regional Assessment Abatement. This must be the camper. Another one, different one? Different one, okay.
Yeah, not one from New Hampshire, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're signing that, let's look at this other one from the Meadows. And I couldn't find anywhere where there's anything published by state that says we treat from permit fee from New Hampshire as an excise tax for state of Maine purposes. So I called Wells, which I figure they're right down there close. Got a lot of campgrounds and stuff down there, asked them how they do it.
No, they don't.
They don't, if you wanna pay, if you leave it there and you get assessed personal property tax, that does not count as an excise tax for them. There's no reciprocity in that regard. The lady was quite adamant. So, I don't know, if you want, I can call Deborah, or email her, I guess that's what I've got here. And tell her. But I don't feel that we have any clear authority to, refund or abate that charge.
Okay. All right, yeah, so. All right, state funding for LD 2003 compliance expenses.
Okay, we had a comprehensive plan review the other day, and, what's her name, Megan? Anyway, the lady from Southern Maine Regional Planning, revealed that there's money available, all you gotta do is ask for it, they'll send it to you, and then
That easy?
then you were eligible for $5,000 because, the way our town is structured and the way our ordinances are structured. And then at the end of the day, if we don't spend it all, we have to return what we don't spend.
Make sure we spend it all.
Well, I'm sure there's a way to do it.
Is it?
If you can count copying fees,
Wow.
anything where the town expends money. So my suggestion is we sign the application and get the money,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
you know?
No, nothing gets under my skin any more than this law. It's basically a totalitarian takeover of our municipalities. We have a home rule state, meaning that the municipalities have the right, and they use this vague wordage to try to get around what our home rule law actually is. Now, I'm surprised there isn't more of an uproar in the state to stop it. Maybe there is, and, maybe there's lawsuits against the state. But, I mean, this is gonna drastically change the town. So I would want to get some, at least a couple informational meetings with the town to let them know what's going on, because people don't pay attention until it's too late. I mean, back on, August 3rd newspaper, Ms. Mills wants to, relocate 75,000 immigrants by 2029. And this is what this whole plan is all about, is relocating all that. So affordable housing isn't affordable, except it's the other one that's getting it for free. Every one of us are paying for it.
Okay.
So I just don't think we just ought to just go ahead and cave into something like this without the town's knowledge or consent. Maybe the town wants to sue somebody, maybe they'd rather take that money and put it into a lawsuit against the state than not even implement it.
Well, this is not money to implement, necessarily anything. It's that we as a town need somebody to help us through this process. And we talked about it at the meeting the other day, which is, there are ways that you can defeat a large part of LD 2003 by structuring your ordinances correctly.
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've got to get the ordinances through the process, and I don't think we necessarily have to bend over and just take what they're trying to give us, you know, so that's not what this money's for, is not to, but we have to go through a process of reading the rules.
Buy us off, you mean?
Well, I mean, basically, it's basically, they have our money they're giving back to us, and then forcing us to do what they want us to do with our municipality.
To do something, yeah. And
And it just sticks under my craw like you can't even imagine.
Yeah,
I read articles and articles on the constitutionality of it, and I haven't had the time to really look at the whole portfolio of arguments. I've got a lot saved on my phone. But, you know, make no mistake about it, if this 5 or 10 years from now, if they force us to put all these affordable housing in, we're gonna have 112 Douglas Hill Road all over the place, we're gonna have Dearborn Road all over the place. That's exactly what we're gonna have. And when you bring them people in, now you have to provide recreation for them. You have to provide transportation, and that's just kind of what's gonna come after this. It's just a slow needling process to turn us into a socialistic.
like I said, I've been through the ordinances pretty thoroughly in the last 3 or 4 months, and I don't think that we're required to put affordable housing in.
I've read the towns affected by it, and we're not even in that blue area. But like I said, I'm new to this, I came on after it was supposed to be implemented at the time I came on, and thank God that they extended it, because it was a law written that they didn't even know what was in it. They just rushed it right through, because they're trying to get everything in that last minutes of legislation that they had before the end of the fiscal year. I mean, right now, they're double stacking beds in the fall,
Yeah, I know.
making emergency provisions to.
The other thing, Dale, is having served on the planning board a couple of times, and as a select board, home rule only goes so far. And if you look at most of the ordinances that the town has, they were based on state law. The subdivision ordinance is almost word for word state subdivision ordinance rules. There's some leeway in how big you make your lots and things like that, but a lot of it has been forced down from above. I don't know, you know, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's just the way it is, and the truth of the matter is that home rule is good as long as the state doesn't have a rule that overrides it.
Well, they've come up with a way to try to do that, and it's really vague as far as what I can read.
Yeah, well,
I haven't confronted one, but,
So, I understand the feeling. I mean, you know, it's another one of those things that trickles down to somebody who wants to do whatever they want on their own land. You know, it's my land, and I bought it, and I'll do what I wanna do there, but you can't do that even in most towns in Maine. There's land use ordinances and
Dale, I admire your position. I really, I am so happy to hear it. One of the things we can do is we can allow these secondary houses on a lot, but just say you need 2 acres. 2 acres is what you need to build a house. And so that just goes right around 2000.
Yeah, well, I read it, I appreciate that, if we could, I know that, we'll be diligent about implementing to the bare minimum, but I'm reading places where 4 accessory units per dwelling, and, next thing you know, once we get 50 or 60 of them places, now we're gonna be forced to put in public water, because they'll give us a grant of our own money to do that with.
So,
the state don't have any money, I said that a couple meetings ago, it's our money. The government don't have any money.
But as I said, is having looked at the rules pretty close, a lot of that is under our control still.
if we play the game and we rewrite the ordinance in such a way that it defeats LD 2003, We may not be able to totally defeat LD 2003, but we can use our money from the state to get around most of it.
Okay, do we have any help from a hierarchy, like a lawyer that knows
Southern Maine
litigation
Regional
like
Planning.
this?
Southern Maine Regional Planning.
Yeah,
I know,
I'm
I
not
know.
a fan of theirs either, I mean, I know they're different.
I know.
They can say they're non-biased, but they're stuck right up
But
the states.
they're a little bit out on the other side of the political spectrum from you and me.
Mhm. I have a hard time somebody telling me they have to comply with something that, and I'm gonna do everything I can to fight that. I'm not willing to sign any, because once you take money from somebody, you've almost entered a contract with them of sorts. Meaning that you've taken that money and you're gonna implement, it's for implementation of that, so you went through the process of implementation of that, well, what's your outcome, is it satisfactory, if it's not satisfactory, I want my money back. Because I read that and that whole thing too, if it's not used in accordance to exactly what they wanted you to use it for, then they want it back.
Yeah.
So we got, money from Southern Maine Regional Planning, $5,000 that when you wanna give us.
Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission is not where we have to spend it.
No, but they wanna give us 5,000 to help.
The DED.
They don't give it to us, it comes from the state, DECD,
Okay,
Director of Economic and Community Development. And, this was passed by the law that put the new, mandates into effect. And it's to help communities, because communities complain, you know, we've gotta do this, we've gotta jump through the hoops to rejig our ordinances and whatnot, comprehensive plan.
I have to question why we have to do that.
Why do we have to do what?
Why do we have to roll over and do that?
It's law, and.
It's the law, well, they have a law too that we could, if you change it quickly, that all the elderly could get fixed rate on their taxes. They took it away after the vote went through, she got to be back governor. It's all political.
Well, might be.
It'd be disingenuous for this planning board not to have a couple of town meetings and get this aired out with the townspeople, because that's who it's affecting.
That's what.
That's the ones that paying the taxes.
That's what this money will help us do, is organize some meetings, get some things drafted out, so we can explain to people what it is that's being put in front of them, and to help us sort out what the alternatives are, because there are some alternatives in the law that we can.
So what would the money, do for us? I know you just said what it do, but what would it actually do for us?
It would
Would
pay,
it hire lawyers?
it would pay Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission to, help us draft revisions to the ordinance, help us organize meetings, have public comment sessions. If we wanna send money to our town lawyer or somebody else to review the ordinances, it will help pay their salaries. If need be, we can pay for the salaries of the people here who spend time on the effort.
Oh, you're already being paid then?
Well, I'm being paid for my job, but, she's already being paid, but we can charge them for that work that she does. You know, that town can be reimbursed for that, and copies made, you know, we have to build flyers and stuff. There's all kinds of ways that in the information from Southern, or from DECD, there's a way you can spend the money. And I think we're gonna spend that kind of money, getting from here to there, because we gotta do it now. In terms of home rule, what was it, Joe, the other day, it had something to do with the, marijuana request that came in. And there was a question, from the applicant about how he gets licensed and whatnot. And our ordinances are out of sync with state law on marijuana, because the marijuana rules have changed drastically in the last 2 or 3 years, and ours were put into effect, I think, in 2018. Our attorney told us that we don't have to abide by anything but what our ordinances say. We, as town officials, only have to abide by what our ordinances say. But if we don't update our ordinances to match state law, then the town is open to lawsuit. Someone can come in and accuse us of enforcing, laws that are not in accordance with the statutes.
So if we don't change the,
So the statutes that we currently have on the books for housing,
yeah,
come July first next year, are going to be out of sync with, the new state law.
why should it be out of sync though, just because they want it to be? How many other states do this?
Hey, I'll tell you, Maine is good. Maine is,
How many other states have the same?
I think there's 16, the last I read.
Last I knew, there's two.
Three?
California, Oregon, and now
Now
Maine is more stringent than actually California.
I thought there were more.
It's the same
Oh, that
document,
is
it's the
it.
same
So
document.
we're going away at California and Oregon, give me a break.
Yeah.
let me just take it from
Unfortunately, Fred, that's true.
a
Yeah, we shouldn't
philosophical,
have to.
Dale, if you take it from a philosophical point of view, Maine is very, very good at devolving power down to this town. I mean, other than Virginia, the county couldn't even tax itself to build its roads as they needed. I mean, many states, most of the power resides at the state legislature level, and very little power filters down. Okay, we don't like this rule, but, what the attorney has told us that you don't have to do anything, you can just sit there and wait for someone to take you to court.
I think it's a hell of a good idea.
Huh?
I think it's a hell of a good idea.
Get an insurance policy that covers lawsuits.
Because once the state gets in on it, you know, they're gonna give you any money for these laws and mandates to have housing and all the money, it's all on the burden of the town and their tax base, not the state. They ain't gonna give you a goddamn nickel.
Yeah, no,
I just wanna say, I agree.
Don't cut me off like that.
I'm sorry,
want done.
all right.
I just want an answer to that.
I don't know what the question was, I'm sorry.
Well, you're not listening, obviously.
Well, like you said, there was I thought you were just kind of,
No, I'm not, I'm asking questions.
is the state gonna give us money for what?
For the, if they wanna have us do this housing and split up the lots, with all the burden land in the town of Baldwin for the tax monies to do this, they're not gonna give us any monies to do this.
Well, I would just say that I can't really answer that question right now, because I don't know that they're requiring us to split any lots. They're not requiring us to build anything, and in reality, what happens here in Baldwin is really dependent on individual landowners and how they decide to do, how they wanna use their land. This law would implement some things that would give landowners options, primarily, but there's no requirement that they do anything. It's really up to the individual landowners, and it doesn't require the town to rezone.
I understand all that, but it's up to
doesn't
the individual
require-
landowner, I perfectly understand that, but large landowner wants to sell 1,000 acres and develop company come in there, they can put up this affordable housing units with 4 units for 2 acres.
The 4 units,
That's a problem.
that's for larger towns, that's not for small towns, isn't that correct, Tom?
If a town decides to have affordable housing, I think well, I have to be careful with the terms, because there's something that the town does to zone for something, and then there's what individuals wanna do. And let's say that Joe decided he had 1,000 acres, and he wanted to make a little city out there and come in and redevelop it. The thing that would block that is our land use ordinances, subdivision ordinances, that would kind of restrict how we can do it and how quickly we can do it. Right now, there's a growth ordinance in place that restricts the amount of new housing units that come in. And so there is still a lot of control here locally, and it's to some degree, we're gonna lose some control, but it's really gonna depend on the homeowners to decide what they wanna do and how close they wanna be to their neighbor. The thing that I think, and this is just my quick look at it, now I took a fairly deep dive into it a few months ago, is that it's the accessory dwelling unit, and the intent of that is to allow somebody to build a lump on the side of your house, or build a kitchen in your house, so they can have an apartment there to live with you, or you can build an accessory dwelling unit detached from your house. But that's you as a homeowner to decide that you wanna do that. The rest of it is enabling, but I don't think it's gonna force us to do anything that we don't want to, and that's, I agree, it's gonna take a lot of consultation with townspeople to come up with a new ordinance that the people want.
Well, I think this ordinance we got is just fine.
Yeah, I know.
We come up with that ordinance, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah?
Yeah, it was just fine then, and town people wanted it, should be just fine now.
I guess, Freddie, what bothers me is if we don't play the game with the state, then we're liable to be sued and lose it all. Just lose control completely.
That's just fear mongering, no.
Well-
I don't go with that, Joe.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, I don't go with what you're saying.
That's why we're discussing it.
Yeah,
But the townspeople should have more word to say than just you and me, Joe. Should be the
Oh, I think we could settle it, Fred.
No. All right, we'll settle it now then. We don't do it.
But the say is, it's gonna be a little wrenching, I think, but maybe not, because from what I read is, and we talked about this when we were, going through it back, end of June, there's enough wiggle room in the state law to make it look not a whole lot different than it is right now.
See, what I wanna see what that looks like.
Yeah.
That's why it's worth, to me, accepting the $5,000, getting some lawyer, I don't care who he works for, to redraw the ordinances, and then put these two choices side by side, and say, what do we want to do? But not following through, and not seeing what can be done in 2003, rejecting it ahead of time. I don't want to do that. I want to see what it can look like.
Yeah, I want to see what it looks like too, I agree with you that, Joe, but
See,
once you
I
accept
told
the
you we
money, I
should
think
agree.
they got a hook in us.
No, not necessarily.
Well, I just think they do.
Okay.
Hi.
We knew we could agree.
I would like to say for the record that I hope you're right, but I'm not convinced. I tend to agree with you and with you. I've had surveys from different state officials that have called me wanting to know what we're doing about low-income housing, and we prepared to accept this, that, and the other thing. I believe people ought to have a right to make that decision themselves. Also, a discussion I think that is very important, our tax maps, a lot of people think they're like done by a surveyor. They're not. And I can tell you on a very regular basis, I'm dealing with people that want a septic system or a well or who knows what else, and it's not clear it's even on their land. And if we start putting another two-family house on every lot, it's gonna complicate it that much further. I think we have to be extremely, extremely careful. And being Bob brought up about the medical marijuana issue a few minutes ago, we have before the planning board right now, they want to build a 5,000 square foot facility. It's going to have full kitchen facilities in there. Those facilities could produce any number of drugs, which I'm dealing with on a daily basis. And conditional use that the planning board pretty much in this case may have to give them. I'm going to be the guy that has to go in and inspect them because they've made clear they need a minimum of 24 hours notice regardless. I'm going to have to be the guy that checks all of that. And I can tell you, if the townspeople do not have an opportunity to vote on that, we're going to regret it. And I would humbly beg you folks to please put a moratorium on any of that kind of stuff until we can have the town meeting and discuss it. we're opening the door to a lot of problems that I can tell you we don't wanna deal with.
Mhm.
I support Don.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the, discontent that we deal with a lot on a daily basis, on the emails, the public comments, just who you see on the sides of, meet them at the store, and is that the rollover effect, I guess, of just the selectmen and the boards just going by the ordinances and what's expected of us, rather than raise the big issues to the town to see what they actually want to do. I think that's a lot of people's discontent
Right.
with the whole system. Just had my neighbor up to my house yesterday, sitting at my table telling me that same exact thing. You know, he never shows up to any of these meetings at all, and that's what happens when you don't show up. You don't know what's going on, but as stewards of the town, I think it's our responsibility as paid individuals to bring it to them so
Amen.
they understand.
Amen, and if they don't come and they don't support
Then
it,
they lose.
it's on them.
Right,
But I am adamant that they have a right to know.
yeah.
And I don't believe most people have any clue of the issues we're dealing with in this town. I never would have believed it in a million years. And
So,
I have constant communication with code enforcement of probably 8 or 10, 12 different towns around here, and I'm on planning board lists too, for whatever reason. And it's not just Bow, but we have a lot of it. And we just have to be extremely careful. And why do we have to approve this now? I think we can install at least the medical marijuana part. They popped in at our last meeting, oh, we notified, the church is fine with what we're doing. I don't believe that. They won't put anything in writing.
Right.
I have documents there that we don't need to go into tonight, but I see the same thing with affordable housing. It's affordable, as you point out, for people that are being bussed in here from heaven only knows where. It is not gonna make it affordable for people that are in Maine, that are growing up, they want a simple home for their family to raise up their kids in a good environment. They're gonna be right out of the market, because their lot is now worth a lot, because you can build rental properties and bring in an
The
income.
developers are gonna buy everything right up.
And that's not, in my humble opinion, as a citizen of this town, I don't think it's in our best interest at all.
it happens in two ways. I say I've lived in other parts of the country where, you lose control of your community and your neighborhoods through low-income housing mandates and through gentrification. And, you either get priced out or you get driven out. And, you know,
I've seen what happens in other states and other towns that aren't careful, and I know where it ends up, and that's the last thing I wanna see for
the
this town.
two last points. One is that this money would be to help us to try to avoid that. Because if we don't spend state money, we're gonna have to spend some of our own. This is something we gotta do. We've got to come together, have some meetings, address it at some fairly high levels within the town and the townspeople. And that's what this money will help for. The other thing is, Joe will tell you that, well, Matt Fricker's not here, but he's running the comprehensive plan review, and I think it was the 26th.
27th, 23rd, yeah, I don't know.
It's been changing a little bit here.
Yeah.
Comprehensive plan public input meeting, 7 to 8 o'clock, is just the start, but it's to start talking about the town's comprehensive plan, and it's, I was pretty adamant the other day that I wanted to address the LD 2003, because that's why we started the comprehensive plan review, is to help us deal with it, what's going to happen when the law goes into effect. So, that's the beginning.
What date was it?
The 23rd, and I'm not sure that that's right, because
Okay.
Matt was,
Sorry.
We changed it around a few times.
yeah, I think that's the latest date. No, it's not fun. It's not fun being here.
Yeah. Well, there's just different steps to it, and I just know that, you know, just because it might be like this baby step now, it's just gonna lead to more. We've committed to this, we've amended our housing to this. I mean, it's kinda like the 10 steps to communism, it's like this there's like steps to this whole process that the state's doing. And I found some of them, step number 6. Create a 3-year statewide incentive program for municipalities as follows. Year 1, a qualifying community must make a commitment to reviewing zoning and land use restrictions. In years 2 and 3, adopting these zoning and land use policies to promote housing opportunities. And then it goes, it's a whole step process.
Yeah.
And that's part of that process is the manipulation. It's a manipulation is what they're doing.
Yeah, well, there's another part to this law that hasn't quite been spelled out yet. And, I think it's, I don't know who's running the operation, but there's somebody at the state level, I believe, is trying to figure out how they allocate fair share to various communities for, I think it's low-income housing. But as of yet, nothing has been levied on us. And, a part of the LD 2003, a big part of it that talks about, 4 dwelling units on a lot, really doesn't apply to us. Because it's for, I don't have it off the top.
And that stuff, I literally, I gotta be honest with you, I do not know. I got any idea, tail end of all of
Yeah,
it.
no, but it,
I would like to know more about it before.
You might add, it doesn't apply to us now or yet.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean it won't evolve into that.
well, I can't.
I know
Yeah,
that's the thing.
the people that were involved in writing that legislation couldn't give us answers, and this is when it was gonna go in this past July. And a number of us are saying, if you can't explain it to our satisfaction, how can we explain it to townspeople that come in looking for answers? And I think we gotta be very careful, it's like a bait and switch, I don't know, kind of thing, the way I see it, I think we gotta watch out.
Anyway, that's what we're looking for.
That money may be useful to the cause that we're talking about, I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
I just think we have to be careful,
I kind of look at it as a defense fund, but,
well, maybe.
so basically what I read in that email, is that the only wordage attached to the acceptance of this money? Meaning, like, it didn't really say that,
where's the form? In here.
can somebody take this flyer and everything else, and
You give me an ice cream cone, I might owe you a piece of pie later.
I originally had it just in the general meeting
yeah, it was
folder.
in, it was in that one, so.
There it is, right there. Okay.
That kind of hard to believe that grant money wouldn't come with like a 5-page stipulations of
There's always
words that
a,
only a lawyer can understand.
there's always a hook in there somewhere that.
Well, there's a lot of things here, like what water systems and departments and designated growth areas, and,
We don't have any growth areas.
yeah, and that's the one that hooks you into the 4 dwelling units issue. So you gotta be careful how you do things.
The thing is too, though, if we get into a situation where systems start to fail, we can be forced to put in a town sewer and water system, and then the whole rest of the load comes on top of us from that.
So one of the places to watch is the comprehensive plan. The last comprehensive plan stated there will be no public sewer involvement. That's the
That'd
kind
be our
of,
biggest mistake to put something like that in.
yeah, so you wanna put that kind of stuff in your comprehensive
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Because then when you go to do it within the next 10 years, you can say, the comprehensive plan says we can't do that. And it really, it has a lot of weight.
If you have enough septic systems backing up, the state can come in and force
So,
it. That's the issue I'm concerned about. And then we have a system,
So-
and then we have to do the rest of it.
That's another part of it, because once you start allowing all these dwelling units, then that's exactly, they're gonna wanna give us grant money to put in a sewer system. They're gonna wanna give us our own money to put in
Yeah.
a public water system.
Yeah, it's,
So what you're saying, Joe, is a help, it's a start.
Yeah.
But it won't necessarily prevent it. The situation could very easily change.
I agree,
you know,
but,
it's,
you know,
There's
it's
a
like
lot-
a battle.
there's a lot of pitfalls going forward. and I don't know that the town will never change, but we can try to put our finger in the dike as much as possible.
Yep.
But this is what the wording says, eligibility, payment distribution. The department shall distribute a one-time payment to each municipality with zoning, we have zoning, to be used for expenses associated with municipal ordinance development to comply with Public Law 2021, Chapter 672. Eligible municipalities include municipalities that have zoning districts, meaning the municipality is divided into zones or districts in which different regulations and uses apply. Payment amount, we're eligible for the $5,000 amount. Those that have one or more designated growth periods for a public special district or other centrally managed water systems get $10,000. That's what they're eligible for. Those that do not have designated growth areas, a public special district or other centrally managed water systems are eligible for $5,000. Things that we can spend the money on. Attorney's fees to research, draft, and revise zoning ordinances. Attorney's fees associated with development of legal opinions regarding local regulations. Staff and volunteers and contract time for research and drafting zoning ordinances, including staff time and board town meetings. Fees associated with providing notice of elections and public meetings. Staff time, including overtime and stipends and other associated expenses for the conduct of town meetings and elections. So we can spend it, I guess, as we see fit to get us through the process. I'm not sure there's gonna be enough, but hopefully so.
Jackie?
So it sounds like the money is used to put us in compliance, not money spent to try to get us around the compliance.
I don't think they would appreciate if we applied the money to take them to court, put it that way.
Yeah, it sounds like the end result is, oh, you produced something that complies with 2003.
Yeah, so that's one of the things is we do have to send them the revised ordinances.
Maybe in the most limited way possible,
Yeah.
I think, right?
As long as we meet the rules, I think we're okay. So it says, yeah, we do have to provide a copy of our ordinances when we're done.
Revised ordinances,
Yeah.
why are we revising it if we don't want to?
You changed the
The
date.
law says we're supposed to.
Yeah, change the date.
The law says we have to do it, so I guess.
The law, they're getting to us. And we're like a bunch of dogs. They get us a rollover, and they throw us a friggin' bone, and it costs a lot of money the rest of the time. That's all it is. Common sense will tell you that. Happened time and time again to this state.
Yep.
My suggestion tonight, because I'm not willing to sign, if I have to sign for that tonight, I'm not willing to sign anything, I would want to table it, listen to our shop, so I can better educate myself on the stipulations involved with that $5,000, because it seems like a minuscule amount that everybody in town, I would think, would be willing to spend out of our own general fund and forego any kind of preemptive promises we made to the state on how we use that money. That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
If they put the hook inside and pull it out without some damage.
If you look at it that way, and you know, it's,
How long do you have before you have to say you will take the $5,000?
they're not saying that there's a deadline on requesting it, although they say that sometime middle of next year, probably when they'll start collecting money back up again for people who haven't spent it. The end of most towns, I don't know if I say most bigger towns, and municipalities have a deadline of December 31st this year. And then the smaller communities, that are considered that don't have staff and stuff to work the ordinances and develop them, they're given a deadline extension till June 30th of next year.
So there'd still be plenty of time to have a public,
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I don't think there's a burning necessity to have it right now, but I'd like to get somebody on contract.
So what's the point of, voting on getting that when you got plenty of time to do it later? It's not gonna cost you any money. If I take any other town,
That's
so
been
what's the hurry? So we can research a little bit more.
Go ahead.
You wanna make a motion on the table?
I would like to make a motion, we table the 2003 conversation until at least our workshop. I guess the main, this is a long motion, but I guess the main thing, we're stuck on is actually sending them an invoice for the 5,000.
I'll second it. On favor?
It's a good conversation. I don't think that we can avoid the law, but I think we can make it work for us.
But we're gonna have to
Yeah,
do the best we can, but not roll over.
and I don't think it's quite as drastic as we think, but there are certain parts of the law that are, not avoidable. Accessory dwelling units is one of them. And,
The way the federal government's going, you never know what they're gonna recommend us do with that. It supersedes the state, that's the way they're headed. They have their agenda and they head it that way.
So if we were to have a public hearing, maybe after the first of the year, that meeting, that informational meeting that you all went to, was it in Denmark or somewhere? Is there somebody that, I guess, helped organize that meeting, a spokesperson or somebody that could maybe come and speak, to the townspeople on behalf of that, and maybe put it, just like with the whole TIF conversation, that it's very complex and, hard to sift through, to kind of simplify it, put it in layman's terms, so that we all have a better understanding of,
Robert, one of the things I would bring up with that, what Fred and Dale are hinting at, is that the people who would come to speak to us would be the people who wrote the bill, who are all for it.
That's
we really need
one with the most education.
most at stake.
The thing I would say is the group you're referring to, Robert, I initiated the conversation with the planning board here, but I am on their list. They meet on a very regular basis, and there's correspondence, usually at least once or twice a year, about what the other towns are doing with a lot of these issues, and I am on that list. I you got that information.
so are there, we hired an independent TIF attorney to represent us that would be, objective and wouldn't be biased to, let's say, the solar farm. So are there independent, specialists that are dealing with this bill, so that, like what Joe was saying, that they don't have that bias towards the state, with the, with passing the bill? Or are there people out there that are like super informed, that are sifting us all through, that are independent, that could, speak to both sides and better
They're
educate us?
mostly people like us that are struggling as best they can. And a lot of the people that I'm hearing from are more of the frustration of Dale and Stone in terms of what's happening with the state.
Like the MMA or real estate attorneys, or
I don't know.
folks out there that can really, get
Those
down
would
to
be
the
the ones to
nitty-gritty.
stay away from. I would suggest more of an independent lawyer with more knowledge or nothing to gain by favoring the state statutes.
Right.
That would take some research, so obviously it's gonna take a little time.
Because I found that reassuring when we hired the independent, TIF attorney.
Yeah.
The solar farm was happy to provide us with counsel, but, we spent our own money, the town voted to do that, to have independent guidance, so it wouldn't be, biased one way or the other. So I was just thinking of some similar information, because your representation, Fred, you know, is gonna be the people that do show up. We're gonna have to answer those questions. And we just want the best answers, so that we can make the best decisions, I guess, for the town.
Yeah, it's a very complicated law. There are a few provisions that have not specifically been updated due to the last tweak. The last tweak was the extension of the deadline. But there were a few little things in there. One was a clarification as to where LDUs are required. And it extended it a little bit. But it made a clarification of a vague area to begin with. But, yeah, no, it's,
Come the last week of June, there'll be a fever like there was. Come the last week of June, there'll be a fever everywhere. We've got to figure it out quick because it starts.
well, this is trying to get away from the fever, just to start talking about it now.
Well, I agree. It's hard to get the answers that you're looking for. I've been trying to get them, and a lot of towns are trying to get them.
Well, the takeaway from that meeting was do nothing at your own risk, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it's more
you-
on the conservative side of it, is what that meeting and those folks are primarily involved in, for good reason. I'm very supportive of that, which is why I got a lot of the emails that I do.
Yeah, Keith.
So my understanding is New Gloucester was dealing with this issue with a specific case a couple months ago, where somebody was trying to put an ADU. And New Gloucester is actually one of the towns, I think, that's pushing against the deadline and implementation. So I'm wondering if they might be reaching out government to government to see where they're at and what steps they've taken to.
Yeah. So nobody's required to comply now.
Right.
No
I
town.
think there was a case, there was somebody who was actually trying to put in an in-law unit on their property. And I don't, obviously, yeah, this is,
So,
they're delayed at this point.
so as of this moment, no towns are required to comply with the statutes laid out in 2003, because it doesn't take effect mandatorily until December 31st of this year. There were a bunch of towns that jumped through the hoops to try to get things in place prior to the last deadline, which was this July 1st. And a lot of them had gone a good ways toward it, but
I'm
they're
sorry,
off the hook
you said December of this year or next year?
this year.
This year.
December of this year, coming, many of the larger towns, primarily, are required to be in compliance.
Because of their zoning laws?
Because I think it has to do with the size of towns and the expectations that they have staff and whatnot to handle the thing. They figure a town like ours with, volunteer planning boards and whatnot, don't have the staff to dig in and figure out the law and make the changes.
Ideally, if we had somebody that could work at it full time, it would go a lot easier, but we don't have that
Well,
luxury.
I don't know that.
Some of the larger towns do.
I don't know if it's gonna go easier, because the hardest thing is going to be to get.
Well, I'm saying that's why they're making it harder for the bigger towns, because presumably they have better, or more staff
Yeah.
that they can devote toward implementing it. It's a lot harder for us, because we don't have the personnel.
And I wouldn't wait until early next year to start talking about it with the public. I'd try to get something rounded up here.
If you want any of the links I've got, I'll give them to anybody. It's not like it's a secret society.
Sorry, Dale, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but.
Fred.
Or Fred, I'm sorry.
This is Dave.
Yeah.
Same difference.
I know, you get the same thing.
It's the opinion of many. You know, you're not alone, I'm sure, so.
I don't care right or wrong, that's just my opinion. Good or bad.
And you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
That's what this country's all about.
I get the same feeling when someone says you can't do this, you can't do that, or, you know. Gotta have Mother May, I can do whatever you want on your property.
And it's used to being communist, we can have anything but, I can assure you. that pretty well.
All right, cool. All right, the AK stove law.
So that picture that in the email was one that Sarah finds online. I don't know if you, have looked, see if there are any other options that you prefer, or if that's a good one to
What I
order.
found was the cheap ones that you pull it off, put the plastic on and then close the cover, or the ones with the clips that are sitting on
Looks
the,
like a kid could pull the clip off.
so the kids could pull the clip off.
Or my question on those, would they fit on a commercial stove?
Right.
I don't know, the knobs are pretty big,
Yeah.
but yet,
I,
some residential stove knobs are getting bigger and bigger to kind of, kind of appeal to that commercial look, so they may fit.
I didn't see it, was it something goes over the,
What, Sarah?
Yeah,
Sarah had, it looked similar to the bars that we put on the doors, but with spacers,
yeah,
that you can lock around each knob, and then at the end, there's kind of a screw bolt thing that you can, remove and insert another thing that would open up with an Allen wrench. I'm not, hardware savvy, but I think that's kind of the short of it.
It looks like that, yeah, just a bar with thing coming off, you adjustment to the width of your skull, and it flips down, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
you gotta take something and flip it off.
So the kid's not gonna come along and twist the knob.
going on, right.
It's another layer of protection.
I think that we need to do it.
At least get it in, if it's cheap quality, I mean, you know,
The only downside to it is a bit of a cumbrance, but, and if you, I did see in the product that if you flip it up and leave it up, you gotta be careful not to leave your stove part open a little bit, because it could melt it on plastic.
It's plastic?
Yeah. So if you open your stove, you
Something
gotta.
plastic around heat, that's a lot
Well,
of
you're
sense.
okay as long as you keep the door closed.
Yeah, but who's gonna do that?
I don't know.
Everything's got its handles,
So we have to give instructions to everybody that rents the community center, and I don't know.
What if we
It
just,
might be as simple as having a lock on the shut-off valve. Granted, every time you needed to use the stove, you have to.
It's already there.
But that would turn the gas off, and
Yeah.
whether they get it on or
But
not.
like Dale's point was that things fail, so there is a boot, we call it a boot, that goes over the shut-off
That's what I.
valve. And my concern was that you could accidentally put the boot on with the valve still partially on. But I'm told that that's not the case, I guess, that the boot only fits on one way, and that's in the off position. So that's locked. However, like Dale's point, which was a good point, is sometimes things fail. Valves can fail, so if gas were to leak by that, and the kids got them all turned on, then, that's a risk. So, somebody else mentioned another valve, was it you, Jimmy, that have two valves for the stove?
This sounds way more easier we try that first and.
what if we just up the knobs or off the stove until somebody wants to use it for senior luncheon or something like that?
Can you do that?
Well, I know that you can on electric, well, on my gas stove at home I can, so I don't know if you can on commercial
Yeah, I'm sure
stoves.
you can, yeah, they've got, yeah.
Must have got
Usually looks like
Yeah, it might be an Allen wrench, I doubt it, I'm sure they pull it off.
That would be the safest route.
Yeah.
They do
Really?
keep it clean underneath the knob,
So-
they almost always.
If that'll be the true test of whether or not they wanna rent the kitchen.
But send them
They have
out
to
to
come
get
see us
lost.
for the knobs. That's right. The knobs are gonna be in a safety box.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
why don't we check, see if you can just take the knobs off and throw them in the oven and. I'm really looking for the part about it.
112 Douglas Hill Road. What a mess there, isn't it?
You don't wanna know. Or what do you wanna know?
You were the one that asked to put it on.
I did not ask to put that one on.
One thing I'd like to know, just for the safety of you, and why didn't the sheriff automatically accompany you rate when you got there? I mean, that's such a volatile situation to put you guys into.
I have to request that, and they provide it when I do. I will say that, and I think you can verify that, in the past with Dearborn Road, they were far more inclined to be aggressive to prevent people from doing harm. They seemed to, oh, don't worry, nobody's gonna do anything. They were more trying to be kind to the peacemakers. And there were some pretty serious threats made there, especially the second visit on Friday, about people leaving in body bags.
Yeah, I get that email, yeah.
That was not something that anybody should have to go through.
What was the original question though, Dale?
Normally,
Just, you would think Cumberland County would be almost obligated to follow a town official to a residence like that with all the known activity that they've had. I'm not saying anybody here did anything wrong.
right.
I'm just wondering why that would almost be mandatory for a sheriff
Well,
to
I
show
don't know
up.
The policy so far, from my experience, has been that if I feel that it's necessary for my safety, I call them.
And they'll come.
And if there's a time frame where we have a little time, I would call or notify the select board to authorize it. But if my safety's at risk, I believe I have that authority to call for law enforcement.
Any hesitancy.
Now, if I'm wrong on that, correct me, but that's the policy I've been going by.
So you just went rogue and figured it'd be okay, so.
And had 3 of them there, actually.
Yeah.
I only asked for 1, and it got a lot worse once he started making
Yeah,
sense.
Dale, I think they're quite happy to come, if you call them,
Right.
call the dispatch.
Okay.
And, we've had a couple instances where we went to 19 Dearborn Road without them in advance, and as soon as we got any kind of a resistance, we called and they were there, post haste.
Well, that's good.
I think they're doing very well. If you read some of the incident reports from these various locations, they, go to these places regularly,
Right.
with, from various types of calls, including from calls from, Health and Human Services. So, I don't fault them for anything. I think they've done a good job. I think
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that, I was just wondering, you know, cause when I started reading that, it's like, wow, those 3 put themselves in a real
I appreciate it.
precarious situation there, yeah.
Well, it's,
He was right in the face of, one of the DHHS workers, and it was not a good situation. It's a very sad situation. They needed my help, because I'm able to get warrants, and apparently it's harder for them to get these days, which is strange. And I was able, when I went there initially with Bob, to get a couple of photographs, and Dr. McKay was there, which proved that Bob was there. That gives us authority. Normally, if I want to do a warrant for somebody's house, I have to give them 24 hours notice if they won't let me in. And the court almost always will provide that apparently. In a case like this, you don't have to give them any notice at all. You just show up with the police and do what you have to do. But it was not a pleasant situation. So for the record, it's pretty clear that when the meter was removed, probably for whatever reason, they have plenty of electricity there. And I do know, and I'm not accusing anybody, somebody's listening, but there are ways to put a wire from one terminal to the other and put the thing back over the cardboard piece, and you do have power. And you don't have to. But there's stuff going on over there that is not good. My primary concern was welfare of the child, and I tried to cooperate. And I know Bob certainly went out on a limb. Come to find out now, I did return, because I have to return the warrant to the court that I served it. And I sent it to the town's attorney, but apparently, actually, I have to in fact go back there and sign it and over the court, and I'm gonna do that. So, that part of it done. There are ongoing concerns, and I just had another email with DHHS in terms of what the town's gonna do as far as what's going on over there. Just sooner or later, you have to decide, because there's 2 other, campers over there that people are living there. We have to decide how far you want to go with a lot of these things.
So was it Thursday you guys went out?
The first time.
First time, and you had deputies with you then?
Right.
Okay. And then went back Friday?
Right.
And did they go back Saturday? Cause Deb said she came in, there was state cops and
Right.
deputies outside here.
It was into that, it went into Saturday morning, because there was a question about who had guardianship or custody of the child that was involved and they did not. So it's kind of been a long process.
Okay.
Going back and forth, but it's all tied into that.
Yeah.
It's the kind of a thing that you feel really bad about. And I hate to see a child taken away from home and family.
Right.
And especially the way things are in today's world. But something had to be done there. It's just a case that unfortunately it had to happen.
Yeah.
Where the town wants to go from here, I believe Dr. McKay, I think he said 30 days. He wanted to have it cleaned up or at least substantial progress made on that. It might be possible, rather than, we talked about maybe refunding something, but maybe provide a dumpster for some of that money, and it would do him a world of good if he went out and filled a 30-yard dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. It is an unbelievable mess over there, and the inside is beyond what you want to hear from it.
So what about the structure of the building itself? It's not like Dearborn Road where...
It's not that it's falling down. There are broken windows, there's trash, garbage. As far as if somebody came to me for an occupancy permit for a building in that condition, I would not be able to get them on the state ordinance.
Right, yeah.
And, if that's what you're asking, no, it doesn't meet the test. I think it's a bigger problem when you've got the other issues with the other campers, which were in the process of going to Porter, but Porter came down on them apparently and prevented some of that from happening again. And I guess maybe they're more aggressive than me. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can, and I know we follow that. But it's a very difficult, sad situation, and I truly wish there was a way to help people. Sometimes you can only do so much.
Right.
And they see it a little differently than we do. And when threats were made against the child in presence of DHHS, myself, and law enforcement, with bad language being used and the child crying and running away from threats, and that's not acceptable.
Right.
You have to do something.
Yeah.
And something happens. We need to be in a position, unfortunately, I was caught off guard, I got the pictures I had to give to the DHHS people on my camera, but I didn't have as much space as I wished I had.
Mm-hmm.
And depending how many of these cases come up, and it seems like there's more in the pipeline, it would be very handy if I had a way to not only photograph, but to maybe take videos that carried what threats were being made and whatever. It would be very helpful to be able to document that with an observation.
You know, your phone, you can't do that? You need a...
To a limited degree.
You're talking about a GoPro camera.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what we need. We need something a little better than what...
I mean, something that recorded from the moment you knocked on the door till the moment you left.
Like body cam type of thing?
Like a body cam type of thing, yeah.
I would have said a while ago, you never need that kind of thing in a town like we have.
Mm-hmm.
Increasingly, I feel we do need something like that. I know from a year ago what I was doing for this town, and I'm just talking about me, I'm not bringing anybody else into it. There's a huge increase, especially in violent acts, and people being upset, and demands being made on what I have to do. And increasingly, kind of do need stuff more like this. So.
Right.
I wish we did. I really do.
Right.
I don't like to think of it, a case like that. We do have to think about safety, and sometimes people have a different memory about what happened. And if you really got a way to record that, you're subject to liability sometimes, and it may put a child at risk or somebody else. I'm just talking in general when I say that.
Is that something we ought to look into, how we can, or something that,
I don't know what it costs, I don't know
right,
a whole lot
I mean,
about it.
I think it'd be worth it no matter what, I mean.
I'd like to argue with you, but I can't. And there are incidents of a lot of types that I have to investigate where it would be very handy if I had a record of what people said and what was going on.
Right.
Then I can relay it to the select board or state people or whoever needs that information there.
Yep, on record, and,
We might have a camera in a closet somewhere in the town garage or wherever, but that's probably not what we really need.
right,
You know, we need to accept that, I think. I wish we didn't.
me too.
If you have any questions about the man over there, I was there. I appreciate your help, because he dropped everything to help.
Yep,
The town lawyer had to cancel appointments, including a medical one. I know Robin helped. I know, Deb and Sarah helped. Friday, I had a line of people out the door practically, well, 3 or 4 waiting and all kinds of things that everybody wanted dealt with now. And everybody in the office here pulled together. And Bob was right there when the call went out. And people were going to my computer, their computer. We were answering calls for the state, and we got this job done. We had very little time to do it.
yeah,
And I really appreciate having that kind of support in the town office.
Yeah.
We may be small, but we're really good in a crisis.
Yeah.
That's just my observation, and I would like to express gratitude to everybody that was involved.
yeah. Definitely.
All the others I don't know about, I just mentioned.
All right, 19 Dearborn Road, what's going on over there now?
Marcus keeps going up there with a wheelbarrow with his kids, and they pick the rubble up there, and they're bringing more stuff from there down to 112 Douglas Hill Road, and I guess what it's gonna come down to sooner or later, and I'm just paraphrasing it, a decision's gonna have to be made, how far do we let it go, and what do we wanna do about it? Increased conversation with them and letters, I don't think are gonna be helpful. We've either gotta take legal action to make a change or accept it. It's sort of what it is. It's not gonna go away by itself.
Right. Well, what are they taking?
Nothing of any value.
Can't be anything left there, but, I mean, except what's scattered around on the ground.
Not to you or me.
Right.
I know he calls it treasure hunting. If you were, well, I guess you've probably seen photographs that I took and then Bob took some.
Yeah.
And others. I wouldn't put any value on virtually any of it.
Maybe he's doing us a
However,
favor.
they do. There are people that are either hoarders or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, I'm worried about them taking stuff, cause it's stuff we're gonna clean up anyway.
Well, it's not that, it's if they get injured on town property, I don't know if we're covered for that, we
So-
probably are.
Here's the issue, is that, last year we issued them a letter dated 6 September saying you got 1 year to clean up the property and pay the back taxes, if you wanna redeem the property. That period has come and gone. He did come in and pay $800 on the back taxes. And the question is, do we give him back his money or not? You keep the property, but do we give him back his money?
I would recommend, and it's just me, for the town to use some of that money to get a 30-yard dumpster on the property, because he's already under order from the Board of Health to clean it up. And that gives him an opportunity to do something constructive, which would be very good for him right at this point in terms of going forward.
We're talking about 19 Dearborn Road.
I understand that, but it's the same owner. And if there's money left over, by all means, give it to him. I know you're talking 19 Dearborn, but he owns both properties, so.
$800 is not gonna pay for a dumpster,
That's
so there
fine.
won't be any left, no.
Right.
I rent dumpsters a lot. I know.
Well, I've rented a few myself
Yeah.
in different cases.
Mhm.
It would make a pretty good dent in it.
What do you think?
If you give them the money, I don't know if it's going to benefit anything like that.
It's not gonna, and we're not legally bound to return the money, are we?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think we can
There's
go on.
There's a,
because it's the bag.
you know, there's a, if you've been reading the state law on selling of foreclosed properties, we're supposed to start a process fairly quickly, put it up for sale, and then anything that's over and above the town expenses goes back to the owner. So, you know, there's a big mess to be cleaned up before you could even sell it.
So let's just say,
There are serious environmental concerns. The brook runs right through there.
So, all right. Good.
To give it back as money, you know. You know, we still keep the property,
Well,
if that was in it.
you didn't meet the term.
Okay, yeah, give it back as money. I know it may go to something that's not very good, but maybe you'll use it to clean up this private property.
You know, I'm not
Maybe.
sure that
Yeah.
we'll go very far, but,
Right. What do you think? Tough, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, I wasn't fully involved in that whole process, because obviously this thing going on for a lot longer than I've been here.
He's coming here and make threats.
But the money he paid for back taxes can't even be close to what he still owes the town,
Right.
so I say losers weepers in that situation, you know, personally. I mean, I really don't have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Not give it back to him, not give him any money back?
You know, so I'd refer to, you guys that know a lot more about it than I do, and
It might help putting a fence up along the road or something, just to keep people out of it. I don't know. It's not gonna be cheap to clean that up, as Bob pointed out.
Right, yeah.
That 800 or whatever it is a drop in the bucket.
Well, the next step,
At least something.
the next step will be, we need to consult with the town attorney as to how we advertise that we are going to dispose of all that stuff. You know, there's rules about evicting people, and there's rules about disposing of their personal property after eviction. I don't recall what the process is, you know, you have to, you give them notice, and then you put their stuff on the side of the road, so to speak, I think, I don't know, you know, I'll see if I can get some guidance. But at some point, I don't know, we're gonna have to spend some money, town money.
In Portland, in South Portland, they gave some of those 10 cities notice, and they came in with the town road crews and backhoes and loaded stuff up at the town.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea to give them notice.
Wasn't there discussion between David Morey and Pine Tree Legal about the amount of time that they had to remove their personal belongings, or was that just
No,
to
there was
extricate themselves?
in that time was long past, but they were given time for that. They were noticed, I remember that exactly, you're right.
So, we'll just defer the question then for a while.
I think ultimately you're gonna have to clean it up. I don't think anybody would buy it for any price like it is. Very questionable if it's an even livable lot at this point. I'm not sure what it is.
It's too close to it.
If I could, it's too close to the water for one thing, and I'm not sure there's enough land there.
Yeah.
The setbacks just don't line up. If you go 75 feet back from the road, which is the law, you're too close to the brook. There may be a piece across the brook, but it's very sketchy.
Yeah, Joe?
Well, I was gonna say, I watched the town sell land that later became a problem to the town. There was a piece down on Depot Road near the bridge that, just was a controversy I heard about in selectmen's meetings for a year. And then the Sand Pond Road one, you know, please investigate the property and find out if it's a buildable lot and come down with an opinion about what it can be used for. Because it's bad to cause trouble for the town just to get $2,000 or whatever it's gonna be for something that people are gonna know is a risk.
And then it costs the town more money to cut the log.
Right, yeah, I mean,
Than they got.
please.
That mess that he brought up, actually, come to find out, well, a lot of those trees were cut down is in the shoreline resource protection area. You can't cut those trees legally by state statute. It's only gonna get worse.
Yeah. Alright. Wentworth Road, Tampa, what you find out over there?
I've been trying, I have spoken with the children over there. My understanding is both parents have jobs, they're trying to do what they can. There's no evidence of drug paraphernalia at all. There are no beer cans, no cigarette butts. It's a family doing the best they can. The camper is in not great shape. They are washing their clothes, they're hanging from hangers on trees, they've got tarps.
So no septic system running down through the...
No, but what, the pipe that goes into the bucket is gray water only. And if that's put in a hole, it's all gravel under there, I don't know. The problem I have is there are triggers there that would probably cause DHHS to get involved, and their hands are tied in terms of what they can do. One of these children has certain disabilities as far as speech and, you know, like that.
Yeah.
Special needs.
Yeah.
I think there are at least 5 kids there that I'm aware of. I know something has to be done. I am less inclined to call out the big guns, as it were, when a family's trying hard to do something. There aren't a lot of resources available. There's no housing we can point out to. I know in working with DHHS and Child Protective Services, it's very difficult to find a place for folks like that to go, which is why we have all these homeless encampments in Maine now.
Right.
I'd rather see them in a broken down camper than in a tent. I think I've got a few things I'm working on to try to find out what exactly they need, because they can't go on into the cold weather like they are in the summer. It's one thing. They've been in the camper for 2 months. I could probably find grounds to do something, but they're not violating the camper ordinance at this point.
Okay.
I don't have any complaints filed by the owner of the property. I don't know if these people are trying to buy it or not. They don't seem to have water, electricity, things like that. They've been building cooking fires outside. That property was logged over not long ago, and they used some leftover scraps of wood for that.
Who owns the property?
I'm trying to figure that out. I've thought about Will Kindred, who's pastor right across the street, and I'm trying to make an appointment to get together with him to find out what information he has and if he can provide that.
Yeah.
I just want to be very careful. It's
Right.
not my call. It's one of a number of issues I didn't think I'd end up being involved in. I don't want to cause a family to go through more stress and family separation if it can be avoided. The other situation, there was no option, that had to be done.
Right, yeah.
This one, I just would like to be cautious, but that's my nature. And whatever you decide to do about that, there are things you can do. There are calls you can make that would intervene probably immediately.
My feeling is, you know, we should try and find some resources to get, you know,
There's not a lot out there, they need an affordable apartment, is what they probably want.
Yeah.
When you have two parents that are working, full-time, that's a sign to me they're trying. When you have people
Right.
that are not trying, you tend to have less sympathy sometimes. Is it gonna help that family if some or all of those kids go into foster care, probably in separate homes? Because the kids are very closely aligned to each other. I talked to them at my one day over there. It was a hot day, and all I could think of was, I wish I'd known it, and brought them some ice cream sandwiches. That's me, I know I can't do that.
So what were the ages of the kids that were there?
I'm gonna say probably 5 to 14, that's a guess, my best guess. The oldest one is the one that has the disability. There's one probably 12 or 14 who is very much able to communicate to me honestly. The kids are very well mannered, there was no bad language, they seem to be well fed, decently clothed. I'm sure they are unhappy to have to live like that too. If I had a way to go in and say, look, you can't have it like this, but here's an alternative for you.
Right,
Let me
right,
help
yeah.
you. I'm sure they'd take that handheld and they would do it, and I would be more than willing to perform that task on behalf of the town. But the reality is, in the here and now, for a large family, it is very, very difficult.
Right.
And I'm afraid it's something we're gonna see more of in Baldwin rather than less. They're gonna break up the third encampment in Portland within the next couple of weeks. Where are they going? Probably out with town in the rest.
Well, in regards to the Wentworth Road camper, I'll give you a point of contact that maybe you can help direct those people.
I would definitely appreciate anything else you can do, but
Yep.
if you wanna have a heavier approach, that's up to your discretion. I don't like to be involved to the extent that I am in these kinds of things.
Yeah, I don't think that's not necessary right now,
Okay.
Not like it's up the other way, there was, like you said, something had to be done now.
Where that line gets crossed, I wish,
Well, but, you see drug counseling now, they're laying around, BSNs, and that's when you wanna,
there is none of that.
Yeah.
And I know they do have, bathroom facilities, it probably goes into some kind of thinking.
yeah.
There are reports that sometimes people have done certain things outside, but I haven't lived in Maine as long as I have. It's not uncommon, especially during hunting season.
I'm out in the woods.
While we're on that subject, they just passed a new rule about porta potties, that if there's to be a porta potty located anywhere in Maine, more than 7 days, they need a permit from you. And that includes things like our beach and everything else. I have no idea what to charge for said permit, although I could probably write it. And as I had a conversation earlier, we probably do need to review some of these things. That's
Right.
one of them. They've also changed that any septic plan approved before whatever day it was, I think September 9th, but don't hold me to the exact date, has to be reviewed by the designer before the permit can be given to install it, unless it's already been installed or is midway through the process. And that's gonna create a little unhappy. You kind of figure out one system and it changes.
Yeah, that's a state for you.
Well, sometimes for better, sometimes not so much. I'm trying to do the best I can.
You're doing a pretty good job,
Well,
I'll tell you.
I don't know, I
Keep it up with
appreciate
everything.
the vote of confidence, it's not easy sometimes.
Is that one of those state laws we're supposed to enforce? Or can we just ignore that one?
No, I know you,
I'm just being.
I know you are, but you know what, the truth of the matter is, no matter how hard we try, it's probably not gonna be right.
Right.
And a lot of these rules and regulations, as we have with that inspection for safety,
Yep,
for
that's one
town
reason.
employees, it's based on big towns and cities. And sometimes in a small town, if they need a tree cut down, one of us is gonna do it.
Yeah,
And maybe we don't have the right certification. You know what, we haven't done it. And that's sort of home rule. now we need Big Brother to protect us from ourselves, and that's the sad state of affairs.
That person has a lot of resources
Okay,
that she can call on, maybe, maybe not, but give her a chance.
no, I will definitely do that.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that. It's okay with the select board that I pursue that sort of thing, because it's borderline whether that's up to me to do or not, but I don't think that's what you do.
No, you got my okay.
Okay.
I think technically it's our job.
Yeah.
Well, I don't wanna step on anybody's toes. Your job.
Actually, I think technically it's the individual's responsibility to ask.
Well, you know, sadly, some people don't know that.
Yep.
And sadly, some people, and I'm pretty sure this is one case where I don't believe they have internet, cell phones, and most things are done online these days. And
Right.
it's a luxury for some people that they just can't afford.
And that's why you get a number.
Oh, I know that, and I know you're concerned about well-being, and sometimes maybe we have to reach out. I don't know. I'm willing to do that, and I definitely will. Thank you.
Next one is, your concerns. What were you talking about earlier?
That's part of it, and it's very hard when people's heart is in the right place. And I know that's part of why I changed things, so my personal email and all is not what I use in dealing with the public. So the next person will have that password, change it, and I won't even be aware of it, and that's probably a good thing. There are situations where people feel they're doing the right thing by giving advice and arranging meetings, and it's ongoing with that individual for a year, and there are a lot of violations there, and supposedly, it can all be smoothed away. And I'm with the mindset, I'm gonna have you go by a certain rule or ordinance, I'm gonna be fair and do it that way for everybody. And
Right.
the history to
Right.
me isn't that relevant, and everybody wants to bring me up on the history of everything. I wanna look at what's out there today and what I can do to get them into compliance with state, federal, and local
Yep.
rules and ordinances.
Yep.
And that's what I wanna do here. And it's pretty clear that when the planning board approves the subdivision, they make arrangements for roads and access to the individual lots. And I know of cases, when I first came here, I was called to task on one where sometimes there's a good road right by that subdivision, but those lots can't go out that way because the subdivision approved was based on a certain road.
Mm-hmm.
This fellow does not feel he needs to build the road that he's required to build. And my position is no road, no permits, especially since the work has been done without permits. And we can go on from there. Somebody needs to be told that they don't represent the town. If you would rather have that person do the job, I would be thrilled, but he does not. And when he gives advice, it can sometimes, although he intends it to be helpful to the person, he might not know the whole story based on what I've been dealing with, or, to tell me how to relate to this gentleman who I think I get along with pretty well, and the planning board, whom I think I also find nice. We may disagree, but we both think we don't disagree very much. I'm not sure it was always that way. That's what I've heard. Be that as it may, it would be very helpful if a letter or something could be sent that job has been filled, and please, if he gets calls or people asking advice about permits or whether they need a permit or don't need a permit, they need to call me. I have requested that they use the town email. He's using mine. So it's harder for me to get those forwarded to Robin, although she was very helpful to me today to get it, so I got it to you. But I have requested a number of times that anything to do with town business, when they email me and such as that, to go to that website. We have to have business cards printed to that effect. And there's a reason for it. I don't want it mixed up with my personal stuff.
Right.
And when the day comes that I'm not code enforcement officer, I don't want people emailing me and asking advice about what rules they gotta comply with or what they need permits for. Because maybe the select board changed those rules. I don't know, and it's not up to me at that point. And that's why I requested having an email mentioning Baldwin CEO on it, just so that wouldn't continue.
Right.
It was very difficult. If you can help with that, fine. I don't feel it's appropriate for people to schedule meetings in my office without me doing it. I think that's my job. And it's been said, I heard it today, that it's open office hours, anyone can come in. That's true. For quite some time now, there's usually a couple of people waiting in line. And I help people on a short-term basis. If they need a lot of paperwork done, I put them on a desk or send them home. If somebody wants to have an hour-long meeting plus with me, and this is gonna be well over that, I schedule it outside of that 4 hours on Friday morning. We have an issue we've been dealing with today with animal control and various violations. And we've gotta come up with the letters we have to write and all that I have to go through with Rick, and we're doing that fine. But did I say Friday? No, we're doing it tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We can go in there, lock the door, and we do what we have to do, write the letters and get it done. It's not a public thing, and people that need a permit that takes 10 minutes shouldn't have to wait.
Yeah.
My feeling is, and I told these folks, both the former and the applicant, that that's not an option. And I've recently been told by both of them that it will happen Friday, whether I like it or not. And I'm inclined to have them escort it out of my office.
Yeah.
I do feel that it's up to me to set the agenda. That's what you folks told me when I came.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it.
I would hope that we write a letter, I know what you're talking about, and it just goes beyond me that he would even think he was in a position to, you know, most normal people, once they've done a job,
Right.
they're not qualified, not necessarily qualified, but
Have the authority.
have the authority to
And it's been,
even speak on the behalf.
it's been said I'm still in the transition phase. After 14 months, I would hope that, I'll never learn everything because it's too much.
Yeah.
But I'm doing the best I can in that regard. And I think it's inappropriate that I need them to come in and educate me and bring me up to speed in the public forum. I just don't think that's appropriate. And again, I don't think it was malicious.
So, we have the option to write him a letter, tell him to cease and desist, and make sure he sends all questions to you. And or sit in on a meeting with you and him, or whatever. What is it you want us to do for you?
I would like a letter written that if he's given questions about town ordinances, enforcement, permit requirements, can he give an inspection and say, oh, God, this will pass? But you probably should call Don at some point. I don't think that's appropriate, or schedule meetings. I think he should be told if someone asks him about town ordinance and enforcement and things that are clearly my responsibility, he should say, sorry, I can't help you, you need to call him. And he should give them the town email address that I have.
Do you want to draft that letter to make sure that it gets everything, all your points in there, and then we'll
sign it.
we'll
I
snooze it and sign it?
I don't like to have to do that, because it sounds like I'm trying to build an empire or something, which is not what I want to do. I consider he comes in fairly frequently, I'm fine to talk with him. But my feeling is if I want his advice about a past issue, I should ask him. You know, I don't feel I need to have him bring me up to speed on everything. It's not appropriate in this case.
Okay, good.
The only other thing I would bring up is what we alluded to before. If there's a way you can put a pause, moratorium, or whatever on going forward with this marijuana production facility for 6 months or a year, it would be very, very helpful. And I would ask that if you have a way to put a halt to that for now. They seem to feel it's got to be done yesterday. I don't think it's gonna hurt the town of Groveland if that gets put off for a year, or 10 years personally, but 6 months is reasonable to research our ordinance, the state requirements. The state, it's been on TV, they're questioning different things that are in medical marijuana products that can be harmful. They're revising some of the rules relating to that. A lot of people that are in that business are objecting strenuously. If you're gonna approve something like that, I don't feel I'm qualified to inspect their kitchen. And I'm not saying it against these folks. The CUP runs with the land. If they sell it to somebody else, because they're just tenants, they don't have any ownership. I could be dealing with a situation that I'm gonna have to get a lot of extra training for.
Right.
I don't know if you wanna go down that route or not. That's standard. We just did it with Long Beach Marina. I have to check on the oil disposal and there's different things they write into these CUPs that I have to check on.
Right.
They approve it, I have to, we have to work together on it, I guess you might say. But this is asking a lot. And if you can pause it, I would greatly appreciate it. And I really feel the town should weigh in on what's happening here. I don't think most people have a clue.
Well, most people don't know that there's a CUP application.
I have
Well,
a
that's the point.
question. I'm not educated on a lot of this, but if our ordinance says that we allow one such facility, and this would be the one, then how can we pause that? And I'm not saying that I want to, it's not a personal thing, I'm just looking at the rules or our ordinance and just asking that question.
Well, we actually, we had a moratorium come up for a vote once,
Twice.
okay, it was
The
not,
tower and the gravel pit on the quarry, right?
okay, the tower was one I don't really wanna remember. I mean, it's possible to do.
Yeah.
And it's a 6-month moratorium. I don't know if you can, declare a short-term moratorium and wait for a town vote, because essentially you have to have a town vote on a moratorium. But it's a legal process. And I think it's a great idea. I mean, I think it's a great idea to take the temperature of the town. How does the town feel about this?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I got no problem with that sort of thing. And I really, we're not gonna get sued. I say that. But I don't think these people really feel that way, that they're gonna sue if they don't get it right away. I think that,
I think the laws allow it to happen,
yeah,
that moratorium.
yeah.
That may well be, but our ordinance makes it such that technically they can't even apply until they get something first.
I'd love to have the
We need to
law,
get the law clearly spelled out for us and the planning board, for myself, and probably for the select board.
Stick with the moratorium issue.
yes,
So how can we do it, and how do we do it? And I think, yes, we can.
yep.
I think the real question is, how do we initiate it? And I'm not sure that we as a select board can't just initiate it on our own.
I believe you can.
Okay.
But I'll do the research.
I would advise you get it done quickly, because right now, you can declare a moratorium because these people do not have a completed application in front of us. They could possibly at our next meeting. I don't know, I am not gonna bend the rules. If they come and they got everything they need.
Usually the moratoriums come as a result of a petition from a
Yep.
group of people, but I don't think that's necessarily the way it has to go.
It's gonna be awfully hard to undo this if we regret it later. It's far easier to deal with it now.
So this allows a pause and the possibility of the town, voting against such a thing and changing the ordinance, is that?
It could
I understand
result
that,
in
but-
that, or the town might say it's fine with us.
But it's
I'm
up
asking
to
for
the
the
town
pause.
ultimately.
It is, I think it should be, it may not be. You might say, we'll do it for 6 months, to give the planning board and myself and you folks time to look into the law.
It's welcome.
Where we've got conflicts, what we've got to do, and then you could just decide it perhaps.
Like
I'm just
today.
advising that the townspeople should have some say in terms of whether that happens.
Change things after the
We'll
fact.
probably get a lot of people at the hearing if we have one, we certainly have at the last couple of them. And realistically, they can't stop it, as long as people aren't breaking the law. And I'm asking for time just to figure it out. And if it comes at the end of the day, that's what the town wants, and that's not gonna change. At the very least, we need to make our ordinances line up with the state. And we need a little bit of time to do that, unless you've got it already written, which I don't. Once again, you're probably gonna get right into something. But I just would urge to be on the side of caution, because as I say, if this is put off for 6 months or a year, who's it gonna hurt? Yeah. I know this is going to Haverhill, Mass. I know, I've looked into it enough to know we gotta be very, very careful. And that's all I can say about it.
I'll look up and see what the rules are, but I think that we can, on our own, initiate a warrant article for town meeting.
I think where the petition comes is if you're not willing to do it, then somebody could get a petition that would require you to do it. I do believe you can make that decision voluntarily if you choose. That's my understanding. You probably do that research.
So we have to do a special town meeting.
Change anything.
Yeah.
The special town meeting would vote for the moratorium,
Yeah.
to give us time to review our ordinances and decide what we wanna do.
So would you have to have a public hearing first, or no, in that case?
I don't know, but we'll look through the research and see.
Do this at the same time, the bridge?
Yeah, we could, and we could probably also do the fire department thing.
Yeah.
I think she wants to be the only one on the article.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that's,
The lady that wants to call it, that's somewhere in there.
Oh, yeah, no, that needs to be,
Oh, I,
somebody has to write the warrant article for it.
Oh.
There is.
And I would apologize for being maybe difficult in getting into a lot of issues, but I feel very concerned about a few of these things, and I think we need to take a real hard look. And I appreciate you hearing me out.
Yeah.
I'm all for openness between the departments, because it just benefits everybody, and more knowledge everybody has about what you do, what you have, what we do, planning board, fire department, whole nine, you know.
Absolutely.
No, you're right, yeah.
And we have been, we've got a good dialogue with the fire department in terms of when these things come up for conditional use permits, what their concerns might be, and they're being included in
Right.
such things. And there's a real effort being made all the way around to work together in a way that deals with the problem before it gets to a crisis situation.
Yeah.
We're trying to avoid.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and if you're in the loop and you get a complaint, what I said, if you've already talked to me, you know, we kind of know where we are. And sometimes folks out there will manipulate people to go one board against another or whatever.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody.
No.
Yeah, how Sebago operates sometimes over there. I noticed that. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying, yeah, because, yeah, there's always some kind of contention between the planning board.
Yeah, it seems like it, all that,
It seems that, yeah.
There seems to be.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, Joe, and actually after that, everybody else in that board reached out to me when I first came here with a hand of friendship, and can we work together, can we make this so we have a better relationship and serve the town the way we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to me from the get-go to have that. And
Yeah.
we've maintained it. We've had some spirited discussions, but I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, that's part of New England. if that's the way we are.
Can't agree on everything, right?
Well, I think we usually can come up to a pretty good consensus, and,
Compromise.
I tend to be outspoken sometimes, and I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah?
If you want to know how I feel about something, just ask, and you'll get it both barrels. That's just me.
I've learned that.
My heart's in the right place.
You're right. All right. Anything else? You got it?
I think I'm pretty well.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not. There's gonna be another big burnout party, and these are the folks that feel I'm a communist, which I'm not. I think it's come to the point that the town needs to decide about legal action. I don't know if you've seen these flyers, you want me to?
I've seen it, yeah.
I haven't seen them, I'd like to take a look.
Oh my God, I'm a little late.
I haven't
Not old
seen
age,
them on
I'm sorry.
Facebook or anything, because I don't do Facebook, but,
It's a matter, they feel that they have the right to do what they want with it.
oh, yeah, of course, yeah, I saw the last two posts,
I know you were there when we had a hearing about, the marina. People were complaining about the burnout parties. I know, I believe Robin's heard about them.
Yeah, I pointed them to Bob. I stirred them up.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
They are not willing, they're not willing to get a conditional use permit, and it needs to be dealt with. I know.
So, do you believe that, the land use ordinance requires them to have a conditional use permit?
I definitely believe it does. And I don't know, I believe you may or may not agree with that.
I didn't see this.
If you're having food trucks and a burnout day and advertising it all over Facebook, that's conducting a business activity in my book. You can have a minute to look at it. While we're on it, it's an interesting side point. One of the things we have to investigate, we started today, is the Stoggy daycare business. They came to me and asked what they needed. I told them a conditional use permit. They went to Richard, what do we need? You need to have a license from the state and you need to go with the ordinance. Their position is, it's a commercial zone, they can do whatever they want, they don't need permits from anybody. And we're gonna end up having to deal with that legal battle too.
Okay.
And I will just pass them on to you, I guess. I write letters, I talk to people, but ultimately, I believe it's the select board's decision if they wanna go to court over it or take some kind of legal action. This has been a real thorn in a lot of people's eyes.
So I would say, and this is sort of like getting Al Capone on tax issues, but they're advertising food trucks, and they're not taking donations for the hamburgers. They're charging a particular amount, I'm sure. And they say they've got T-shirts, and those aren't to hand out free to people. They're gonna charge money for them. You're charging money, you need a permit.
There's another,
Safety issues.
it's definitely money-making.
There are safety issues, if somebody got hurt, there are different requirements for that. If there was a fire, who knows what, a number of issues.
Now, would it make a difference, Joe, if, like food trucks, they're not handling the money, if the food trucks directly getting the money from it,
So
That's a
you
They
cite
can't
the food
do
truck.
that. They can't do that without a permit.
Who's selling the T-shirts?
right, and yeah, yeah.
there was an earlier, Facebook post that was a little more, and I've got a copy of it, that said there was
More of a charge than a
a
donation.
charge. Well, there was one that says donation, other says charge, didn't have the donation word on it, I think.
It said fee. It
Fee.
said fee, that's what, that one post, they kind of screwed up and threw in the fee. Any other posts have been, and I just gave it some screenshots that people send me.
That's what it is, I got screenshots, people sending them, and, so, the question is it a violation, do they need a CUP?
I'd say they do, I think you're saying. they do.
Or to say this, but issue them a notice of violation.
I have done that verbally in the Call of Communists.
I know that it actually done.
We all have been, you're not alone.
Sometimes I wear a red shirt, but that's.
Unfortunately, I don't think that has any weight. It has to be, and this violation has to be issued in writing, I believe, of course.
I've also been told on Friday I'd be leaving in a body bag, and that's.
Okay.
At some point, I can write them a letter that states something like they're in violation of X, Y, and Z, and if they don't cease immediately, the board will be forwarding it, Board of Select Board, forwarding it to town's attorney for prosecution. That would put a lot more teeth in my letter. If you don't wanna go that far, that's okay. There are people that do what you do, there are people listening tonight that want
Okay,
this addressed.
so you guys take the first step.
Yeah.
I'll send them a formal letter if you would like. I have the information, I got it.
Yeah.
Got it right in my pocket.
So you better off
So here's-
sending it certified?
Here's the other question.
It's up to you. You tell me, I'll do whatever
Since,
you want.
we're discussing moratorium on burn parties.
Yeah.
To shut it down for a while, I mean, pretty much it's shut down for the season, I would think, after
After this.
that.
Who knows, you know?
They probably
You
use
would-
snowmobiles now.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Or ATVs or something like that.
They're gonna time you
Pick them
to
up
a
for a while,
stake and
too.
give $100 prize for the one that gets them first.
I heard with the beginning of last spring, they was only scheduling 3 for the year. And I think they've done more than that.
It's been 3 in the last couple months.
Yeah.
Well, they have major ones and minor ones that are just immediate friends and things that happen a lot more frequently. They still cause a lot of problems. And for what it's worth, I'm a fierce defender of individual property rights, but increasingly, as we get more and more people, my rights, my property interfere with your rights to your property.
Right.
That's what the issue is, increasingly,
Well,
we gotta
yeah.
balance somehow.
I'm with you, I think people should be able to do what they want, but if they start infringing on other people's property and you gotta go on.
How many infringements on other people's property?
Smoke, noise,
Smoking, nobody.
you never smelled it?
I'm right next door to it, and bother me a bit.
The first time,
You're probably the only person in town.
I barely hear it, and I'm only,
yeah, you wish to.
600 yards away.
You
Really?
need to hearing check.
Maybe it could be the wind going wrong. I can see it in my house.
It sounds
Usually-
like Beach Ridge.
Yeah, and usually the wind's blowing right towards Gilman Hill,
Mhm.
and, well, you probably wouldn't hear it,
I hear it.
do you?
It don't bother me.
Yeah, that's another point too, you know, it's subjective, what, it may bother these folks, but. you know.
Oh, yeah, I know, it's like, when you've got a small pond and people go out and back along and they had jet skis. Oh, everybody in the association's all upset because we're riding jet skis on the pond.
Well, they still do.
They still do it. So what, they're having fun, just 'cause it bothers them a little bit. Nobody else can have any fun?
No. they
One
don't.
of the complaints I had is adamantly opposed to the burnout parties, and I said, we're working, we have a disorderly house ordinance, and we're working on another ordinance, I believe, to deal with that kind of situation. And I was told by that same person, now, of course, there's gonna be a wedding in our camp next summer, we don't wanna have to get a permit, do we? We're gonna have people there with food, and, dancing, probably some noise, but it's just a wedding. So, the wedding might offend me, but not you. let's
Right.
say. Just like the burnout parties, maybe I'm bothering him, but they're bothering other people. And increasingly, I'm of an opinion that when these things come up, I'd like to discuss it and decide how everybody wants to go forward. I could probably work full-time investigating all the complaints that got in front of me right now, trying to figure it all out. That's not what I wanna do. I'm not sure that you wanna go that route either. But there's a lot of things going on that we gotta start dealing with.
Right.
So, I defer to whatever you decide you wanna do going forward.
So, you're going to draft a letter telling him that he needs a conditional use permit.
All right?
I'll answer that.
Richard, that's what I will do, if that's what you want. There was a question, could it be sent certified? Might be a good idea, I don't know, it's up to the board.
When I send letters on behalf of the board, I send them, both,
Okay.
certified and regular mail, because I find that the certified come back unclaimed, but things, like on Fremont Avenue, the water going out into the road, the certified came back, but they obviously got the letter through regular mail because they fixed the problem, so.
I think some guidance in terms of how strict the town wants to be in enforcement over all, some of these issues would be a good thing for me to know. 'Cause I don't know how far you wanna go with some of these violations. I can tell you what they are. I think you're supposed to kind of decide what we do after I write it. But I will do whatever.
Yeah, I would just start out by asking him to get a conditional use permit and see where it goes from there.
Have it in writing,
Yeah,
we get to
you
get
know,
it,
obviously,
and if
we won't do it, and then,
continues, we'll go to the next step.
you know, there's illegalities where you can claim he's not a business, and it's just redneck fun that they have on the weekend, you know, could he get away with that on this? He may be able to, you know?
Well, I think ultimately, the select would have to make that determination based on ordinance, I believe.
Well, I don't think it's up to us to rouse people out of town, or tell them to be quiet when there's no precedence or no law against it being done. I mean, I know it's probably loud at a point, but if you look at a lot of noise studies, the amount of decibels that you have to hear to make it offensive for a long period of time and during what period of day,
Right.
there's this whole formula, this whole table that they lay out to do that with.
That came up at the last planning board meeting, and we're considering getting a decibel meter, so we could measure it, or maybe.
You know,
But my question is, you're making a valid point here, and what my question is, how far do we wanna go with enforcement of some of these violations? Because if the select board feels that they are in accordance with the law, there's no reason for me to do anything about it. I can relay the information to people when they ask. I'm in an awkward spot,
Right.
because it's not crystal clear to me whether they are in violation. I mean, there's been some question, which is why we've had discussions about ordinances and such.
I mean,
I'm not looking to be a big police officer.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
What they can and can't do in town, I don't want that.
that's what I was just gonna say, I mean, we're put here to follow the ordinances, change them by town standards or whatever in a town setting, but I don't think it's up for us to police a situation.
And I'm fine with not notifying.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine with me.
give them notification that they should, and, you know, look at all the laws that would require them to do it, but,
You can make the case either way, from my standpoint, we don't have a specific rule saying you can't.
you know,
It sounds like they're violating a situation where they need to see you.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And I know the whole noise thing too, there's this category about affecting other people's quality of life and, you know, this and the other, which is totally understandable, but that's where you get into so many layers involved with.
Exactly.
It's simple.
Subjective too.
It is, everything's open to interpretation.
Right, and as far as the level of noise, someone would have to be down there with a meter and say, hey, yeah, you violated this, you know?
It could be easily a full-time job, because a lot of complaints
I
come
mean, it'd
in.
be very, very hard to enforce it.
I need guidance in terms of what levels you want to go forward with and what you don't. And if you feel that we need a different ordinance, or there may be or may not be in violation, I wish you'd make that decision. I don't think I should be the one that has to do it. I can tell you what I think.
To write an ordinance.
How many ordinances do we want to
I know,
write?
it's-
You know, because it gets to the point you can't have a wedding in your yard. This is one event that you're not gonna do probably,
Right.
unless you got a big family.
right now.
But how many restrictions do we wanna put on people?
Right, right.
Just have him apply for a conditional use permit, but the thing is, when he gets it, you'll still be hearing the noise. They ain't gonna change nothing,
That's true.
because it won't be above the decibels.
They won't probably abide by it, maybe.
But if they get, yeah, but
And-
then you can hold them accountable if you give them, if they get a conditional use permit.
But it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to enforce it. And we have situations like that, and it ultimately comes down to how far the town wants to go to back something like that up. If you wanna go to court over all these things, I don't know that you do. It could get very expensive and very time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're not going to, maybe we just don't. It's a decision that I think maybe the three of you need to think about.
It seems like we've gone full circle here. We want to,
Well, if it's a business, that's the thing,
uh,
just being a bystander.
Joe,
If it's a business, and you say that you have to have permits for business in this town, and that to me, you should get a conditional use permit for where, I don't know, I mean, that's just my opinion. It isn't worth much, but that's okay, people will do it.
It's worth a lot, and think that-
Well, what I think the townspeople hope, the ones that are affected by the situation, is that they won't be able to get a conditional use permit, and then that will shut them down. I think that's the main objective of people wanting to get conditional use.
that doesn't necessarily have to be where it is, though.
don't know.
But I think,
It just could be regulated, that's all. That's what conditional use permits generally do.
Might be like just certain number of days during certain times of the day.
Or even if they put up a sound barrier.
I've already annoyed the people over on San Juan enough.
He's very good at negotiating those kind of things. I can tell you, someone who's been there, but it's hard to do that sometimes, and who should have the ultimate say? I mean, one or two people, I don't know.
So, we started out the discussion saying that you thought that they needed a conditional use permit.
I think they should, but that's a personal opinion.
Well, make it official, make it official.
If you're running a business, if you're running a business there, and it appears to me that they need a conditional use permit, and I'm fine to write them a letter to that effect. But where we go from there,
we'll see what their response is to it, I guess.
I
rather
can
than-
sort of tell you what the response is.
Oh, yeah, I know what it's gonna be, but you never know. You never know, you can see the light.
See it big up the old.
I've got a bridge for sale.
Now we got two.
That's just for one.
So is that what you're gonna do, is gonna say, look,
I will
You
send
may or
them
may
the
not
letter
do
if
that.
that's what you want, and I will keep you informed in terms of what response I get. I'm suspecting there will be no response.
Right.
That's what will be the case. So, in the meantime, there'll be yet another party over there, and they'll be gonna happen, whatever it is.
yeah,
And there'll be all kinds of complaints, I know, coming my way, and probably Robin's and everybody else.
maybe, maybe a petition from complainants?
Will the complaints be gone after the people in San Juan are gone home?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think
Continue.
so. I believe they will.
I
I thought it might be some out of state.
No, there are people that live right here that are
What's that?
complaining.
it hasn't only been San Juan.
Right.
It hasn't only been
It's
San Juan.
broadened out more than.
It is.
Within earshot.
Yeah.
No, Sebago,
It's
we even had
conditions of the
somebody
road.
from Sebago complain.
Yeah, I could hear.
Like
And I think it really depends
Yeah.
on how the wind blows.
The first time they did it, I was coming home from Home Depot, I come through East Wallen Village, and I'm going, where's all this smoke coming from? And, you know, the wind was just blowing in the right direction, I turned the corner, went up by the, there was cars parked out by the road, and it was really making a mess then. So it's like, oh, okay, so, and then we started getting complaints.
Where does the liability fall on something like that, if somebody gets hurt?
They'll put him right out of business.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
He's his own worst enemy.
Right, yeah.
The thing is, if it's a safety issue for people driving on Spago Road or Bridgeton Road, whatever the case might be, We don't want people getting hurt either.
That hasn't happened.
And when you're having a large crowd of people coming from several different states to an event like that.
Yeah,
It might be a good idea if there was a sheriff there or somebody with traffic, or in case some violent act broke out, or any number of things
Right.
that happen. I don't know. I'll write the letter, I'll let you know if I hear.
okay. All right, Sanborn Beach vandalism. I got a call the other morning saying from Debbie, somebody informed her that somebody had thrown the picnic tables in the water, dumped the trash barrel over, and made a mess. So I went down, cleaned it up, and me and Jennifer went down, and she said, I'll look through the trash, and she thinks she's seeing letters or something like that. And the only thing she found was maggots. Kinda, so two of the picnic tables are out here, the good ones, and two bad ones I've taken down to the town garage.
Stevie asked me what you want him to do with them.
Well, hold on to them for now, we gotta get the committee together and see what they wanna.
There's one at the beach right now.
What's that?
There's one at the beach right now.
One barrel,
Still there.
Is it, what, is it
blue barrel,
Yeah,
the barrel?
says Baldwin.
Yeah,
it's up there, it's upright, so I'm assuming it's okay.
so they must have went out and got it, cause it was out in the lily pads the other day, and I went to go swimming for it.
It's still warm.
Yeah, it was out in the lily, so they must have got it, or somebody might have been boating and brought it in with a boat, so.
So
Well,
are
I've
you
been
thinking,
detecting rockets being aimed at the roof, to the trash.
so the tables at the town garage may be repaired, is that what you're thinking?
I don't think so, but
Because they're like, what do you want?
they're pretty rotten, but leave them there for now and make a decision to repair them or,
That cement was still in there we put in years ago.
yeah.
They were like that,
Damn, touch that.
It's too hard to lug in the block.
We need to have more of those.
That was back in the Dick Wagner days.
Wow,
We put that in 1980, something.
was it really?
Yeah.
Still there? Yeah, move that one.
Terrific resource for the town to have a place like that, it's a shame.
Yeah.
People can't take care of it and respect it.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss to understand why. But it's
Well, like that,
the
it's
time
always
of the
good.
time.
I don't think it's the townspeople that do it,
No, I'm not
No.
saying that it is, it's just unfortunate.
It's a night
People
crowd.
Oh, it is, but
Leave it alone.
it's just, there's something about that standpoint, it just attracts.
Yeah.
I'm down there every
Towns could
night.
make money off it, just sell it to somebody, let them build a candle in it. Good money you could make.
Take advantage of the
Shoreline
construction.
zoning
we-
ordinance.
We could take that money and get some dumpsters and clean up all the other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That happened where I grew up. I grew up on road to Connecticut and Hartsville.
Oh, yeah.
We had views of Sandy Beach, it's what it's called, Sandy Cove Beach. And this guy came in, he said, to the town, I wanna buy it. And he says, I'll let people come, all the townspeople can come. That lasted about 10 years, and then he took it away. He found a way to take it away from us. So if you do that, you're gonna lose that beach.
Oh, yeah.
Not that I use it, I don't. But, you know, I think the children of the town ought to have a place to go, to have swimming lessons and, hot days in the summer. You know, you can do that, you can, they may let you stay there for a while, but they'll take it away eventually.
No, we won't be selling it.
Just have to put up barbed wire and stuff.
Don't have
Just like if they
picnic
have
tables
a
down
prison.
Don't have picnic tables down there, don't have any trash bags, make them trash cans, they can carry all that stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't carry it out.
Throw it on the beach.
It would be in the water.
On the water,
Yeah, we've done that before, four trash bags, they just throw it on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to have the sheriff department come periodically, different times
Yeah.
through the evening.
Yeah.
Not 4 or 3 in the afternoon.
Anytime after dark will be fine.
11 to midnight is
Yeah.
a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of parties out there at night, huh?
Oh,
There
yeah.
is.
Beer cans every night, yeah.
Yeah.
The whole whole roads lined up with beer cans, now they're sticking them on sticks, so you make sure you see them.
No, my God.
All the way down through St.
All the
Paul
way
Road?
Oh, yeah,
down
St.
to
Paul
Road.
Road.
I was thinking maybe some game cams down there.
They'll rip them off
Yeah,
the trees.
yeah,
think
well,
that-
Bill,
That'd be quite
Try to
hard.
put it up high enough.
they probably still take them, they tear them down.
Shoot them over the BB gun.
You need the fire department with their ladder truck to put them up.
Yeah, and like you said, they still shoot them out.
Yeah.
And even if you took the pictures and you caught the people, they probably wouldn't do anything to them anyway.
True.
Catch and release.
That's not me.
No, that's not a felony, misdemeanor.
All right.
Well, you guys, you did a great job tonight, I really am impressed with everything that you've
I
talked
don't know
about.
if we did anything,
Well, I think you did, I think you did, I think you did a lot of talking and thinking about things, and you certainly, you educated me in great ways, so.
Thank you.
It's pretty scary to be a selectman, I don't wanna do it.
You folks got something? Sorry.
No, we're just here about the informed, that's all.
Yeah,
Same old.
yeah. I'm gonna
The
talk with
beach committee needs to meet more
I was
often.
just gonna say,
Do more.
get a talk with Ben to, I reminded him once we need a meeting.
You guys down on Page Lane, or you down by, Dermody somewhere?
Just beyond the scout camp.
Right.
When that
So you
was,
get the brunt of all the action, pretty much.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
when that was going steady, we were
Yeah.
there.
And I think.
I'm thankful it's the beach and not the scout camp, to tell you the truth, 'cause it's always the scout camp.
Mhm.
Thank God that's quieted down.
Joe, you got anything?
When I was a little kid, we used to come here for the month of August to visit my grandmother. And my father would go around and get all the gossip, everything that had happened in town while we've been gone. And he'd like to take me because he was a lawyer and he always wanted a witness for everything. And the two big complaints 70 years ago were people on the town. It was a shame and a disaster that we had anybody on the town. And the whole idea of the selectmen was to get them off the town. You know what I mean by on the town? Welfare.
Welfare.
Yeah.
And the other thing was when somebody changed the color of their house, that was scandalous. Those were the two big issues.
Really?
Time to change.
Henry Black was really, really proud when he would move people off the town.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was big fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good old days ago.
Yeah, right.
Now the state's in your face.
Gotta cater to them. Yeah.
Really thankful to.
Yeah. Don, you got anything? Man,
I said everything I wanted to, you're great.
yeah, you got anything?
Nope.
Kathy?
Senator Black's sign is gone again.
I think we know who's doing that.
Well, okay, that's nice.
He was supposed to have been confronted with it, so,
Right, that's supposed to part, yeah, I heard that.
yeah.
Well, it will be.
Cool. Okay,
I think maybe, contact needs to be made by certain folks,
okay.
but it's in the works.
I was gonna put petroleum jelly all over the sign, so it would just gum up their hands, so they wouldn't come back.
Yeah, but then you'd get seen on the ladder doing
Right. I think, Deco Road is gone again too.
Is it?
That was a brand new thing.
My son's gone, so it's a stop sign.
Your sign?
They did leave the nuts and bolts, so.
That's nice of them. They had to stop sign.
No, but that's all. Thank you guys for doing what
Ready to
you're
go,
doing.
anything else?
Said nothing, huh?
Bob, any guy? Bob? Dale?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right. Yeah. Good night.